Digital signal environment, the new layer of reality. We live in a new layer of reality, not the internet as a place you visit. A signal environment you live inside, every day, whether you want to or not. Over the last 20 years, my reality has changed completely. Things that once sounded like science fiction became ordinary. Ordering food from the screen, working across continents, moving money instantly, learning from a device in your pocket, building communities without sharing a physical room. I'm not here to convince you this is real. It already is. My contribution is to describe it as accurately as possible and to map safer routes so we can adapt and develop inside this new reality. Because this environment doesn't just deliver information. It shapes what becomes salient, what becomes meaningful, and what becomes action. And that is Logos 6 in LEV, signal. What signal means in LEV signal is not a message. Signal is the entry point of reality into your nervous system. And in the digital age, signal has changed its nature. Here is the critical shift. Signal used to be mainly communication. Now, in the digital signal environment, signal becomes command. First signal, then protocol, then action, and a result appears. The invisible becomes material. That's not poetry, it's infrastructure. A push notification becomes a purchase. A line of text becomes a meeting. A button becomes a delivery at your door. A recommendation becomes an identity. A feed becomes a mood. So the logos of signal is a field, the full spectrum of signals, and the selection dynamics, what gets activated, what becomes real, and what turns into behavior. The structure of the logos field. 3 streams, 1 weave. In LEV, signal is a field with 3 streams that weave into one lived experience. Stream 1, the embodied stream. This is the body's state: breathing, tension, arousal, fatigue, safety, threat. Modern neuroscience increasingly frames brain function through allostasis, predictive regulation of the body's needs. From that view, attention, emotion, and thought are not separate mental events. They serve bodily regulation. Meaning doesn't float above the body. Meaning rides on state. Stream 2, the symbolic stream. Language, social cues, facial expressions, tone, culture, status signals. This stream turns sensation into story. What does it mean? It's the layer where humans live by symbols. Stream 3, the digital algorithmic stream. Interfaces, notifications, feeds, metrics, recommendations, emojis, memes, and now AI-generated signals. This stream is different because it doesn't just carry signals, it optimizes them continuously based on attention and engagement. 3 streams, 1 weave. And the weave happens in your reaction. First signal, then meaning, then choice, then action. The feedback loop. When you send signals, they send you back. There's one more mechanism in the digital signal environment that makes it feel endless. Feedback. When you post a photo, a thought, a comment, a short video, you're not only sending a signal outward, you're also creating an expectation of return. A like, a reply, a view, a share, or silence. And your nervous system treats that return as information, not just data, but social evaluation. That's why people don't only scroll, they check, they refresh, they look again, even when they already know nothing important happened. Behavioral science has a name for why this gets sticky: variable rewards. When rewards are unpredictable, checking becomes more persistent, because the next hit could arrive at any time. The environment doesn't even need to reward you often, it only needs to reward you sometimes. Neuroscience adds another layer. Online social feedback, like likes, is linked to activity in brain systems involved in reward and social processing, and the overall picture has been studied across fMRI and EEG research. So the loop looks like this. You send a signal, you anticipate feedback, feedback arrives, or doesn't, and your state shifts. Then meaning shifts, then behavior shifts, and you send the next signal. This isn't a conspiracy. It's an interaction between human biology and an engineered feedback system. And we can test it in everyday life. For example, experiments that change notification timing show that batching notifications a few times per day can reduce stress and improve well-being compared to constant delivery. So in Logos 6, signal, feedback is not a side detail. Feedback is a protocol that directly touches arousal, attention, and choice. Research links are in the description. The laws of the digital signal environment. This field has laws. They're not moral rules. They're operating principles. Not knowing them doesn't stop them from working. First, the law of attention. What holds attention becomes real for the day. Second, the law of amplification. Signals with emotional charge rise faster. Novelty, outrage, fear, desire, tribal conflict. This is not just a vibe. In a large experimental study on engagement-based ranking, the algorithm significantly amplified content expressing negative emotions like anger and anxiety, and it also increased readers' reported emotions. Third, the law of personalization. You don't see the world. You see a version of the world shaped by your past reactions. Fourth, the law of speed. Signals change faster than the nervous system can integrate meaning. Fifth, the law of metrics. What can be measured starts to define what is valuable. Views, likes, shares, streaks, followers. Sixth, the law of the infinite field. The feed does not end. The next signal is always available. Seventh, the law of trigger to action. Buttons, prompts, and nudges make action easier than pause. Eighth, the law of external memory. Memory moves outside the body. Search, cloud, screenshots, histories. The environment remembers for you, and that changes decision-making. Ninth, the law of simulation. Signals can now be produced without a human sender. Bots, synthetic media, generative AI. So the question becomes, what kind of signal is this? Human? System? Manipulation? Noise? 10th, the law of protocols. Digital reality runs on protocols. Tap, confirm, pay, logistics, outcome. Symbol becomes object. These 10 laws describe the field. Now the question is, why does this field feel so powerful? Why signal feels magical? Because you can't see signal directly. You only see what it does. A tone of voice changes your inner world. A headline changes your body. A comment changes your self-image. A notification changes your breathing. Signal is invisible, but its effects are physical. And neuroscience gives us the mechanism. Arousal resets attention. The locus coeruleus norepinephrine system is one of the brain's key attention modulators. It can enhance perceptual sensitivity and support selective attention. In plain language, when uncertainty rises, the nervous system becomes more reactive, attention becomes more sensitive, and the world feels sharper, often more threatening or more urgent. Now add the digital signal environment, which is optimized to keep attention engaged, and you get a constant loop. High-frequency signals, state shifts, meaning shifts, behavior shifts. This is not a conspiracy theory. It's an interaction between human biology and an engineered environment. State drives interpretation. Allostasis frames the brain as a predictive regulator of bodily needs, placing bodily regulation at the core of mind. And high-resolution brain mapping work supports the idea of a large-scale system involved in the cost of living in constant signal. When the signal field becomes constant and unending, the system can drift into chronic arousal, sleep disruption, and attentional fragmentation. Longitudinal evidence links higher problematic smartphone use over time with increased anxiety, depression, and sleep difficulties. Other research also finds associations between problematic smartphone use and poorer sleep, depression, and anxiety symptoms. This doesn't mean phones are evil. It means a human nervous system has limits, and the field has laws. So LEV does not preach disconnect. LEV maps routes. What Logos 6 actually gives us. Logos 6, signal, is not about escaping the field. It's about regaining authorship inside it. Because if you don't choose your signals, the environment will choose them for you. And then meaning will be chosen for you. And then your future will be chosen for you, one small reaction at a time. So we work with signal at the right level. First, identify the stream. Is this an embodied signal? A social symbolic signal? A digital algorithmic signal? Second, name the activation. What got stimulated? Fear, urgency, craving, comparison, curiosity? Third, Recognize the law that's operating. Amplification, personalization, metrics, infinite field, trigger to action. Fourth, insert a protocol of your own. Because the field runs on protocols, so do you. A pause is a protocol. A longer exhale is a protocol. Batching notifications is a protocol. Choosing one meaning instead of 10 is a protocol. This is how the invisible becomes intentional. Closing. The digital signal environment is a new layer of reality. It's powerful because it speaks the language of the nervous system. Salience, arousal, attention, reward. Logo 6 gives us a clear frame. Signal is a field. It has laws, and it selects what becomes real. Next are the operators of signal. Practices and protocols that reduce provocation, restore clarity, and let us choose meanings that build the future instead of fragmenting it. Research links are in the description.